So welcome back. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. And on today's episode, we're going to make a quick video giving you the updates on all the LSS mods that I did to my Masterbuilt Gravity smoker. So believe it or not, it hasn't been that long ago. I don't remember, a couple months ago, month and a half, 2 months ago, that I did just a whole smorgasbord of LSS mods. And if you're not familiar with that company, it's a single American-owned company just with one person, a guy named Luke, that makes a bunch of stainless aftermarket accessories, add-ons, and upgrades for the entire Masterbuilt Gravity Series line. So he reached out a while back, seeing I had a YouTube channel, said, would you be willing to make a review and try the products? By the way, I get paid nothing. I've already made that review video. I'm just making this because I told you I'll do an update. I owe him nothing else at this point. And again, don't make a dime on any of these accessories. So it doesn't bother me either way if you do or do not buy them. So let's go ahead and answer some of the common questions, and most importantly, are these accessories and upgrades worth your time and, more importantly, your money? Okay, so let's dive right in. Up here on the upper end, you can see it's nice and dirty. I have done a ton of cooks, by the way, even though I've only had this stuff a short period of time. Some of these cooks 10+ hours. I cook 2 to 3 times a week minimum on this thing, so it's already got a lot of time on these accessories. And y'all, apologize for the very poor lighting. Believe it or not, it's middle of the day, 3 o'clock. It's just been overcast for days, spitting rain, and I've got the camera adjusted as far as I want to go. We're washing out the background, but you can't hardly see this dark grill. But one of the first upgrades I did was this top insert. You can see it has an extra gasket, and it's a stainless insert right here that's supposed to catch all this creosote, gas, and buildup. Ultimately, what this is supposed to stop is all this buildup and corrosion happening on this just coated steel lid right here. One thing I can say, I'm gonna go to a quick clip here. I've been taking pictures and recording as I've been doing some cooks. Adding this has taken away the problem of me having a leaky factory gasket up here. I used to always see smoke come out. What that does is actually pulls air through the unit, will cause some of your coals to burn down after the fact. I see zero smoke coming out of the top now after adding that. So moving around to the back side, the damper that Luke offers, I'll say this is probably my least used piece of equipment here, or add-on. So what this allows you to do is actually close up, damper off. There's a little knob you can tighten right here, and just basically restrict airflow through the unit itself. Now with that said, the reason I haven't used it much is because it hasn't been very windy. I've only had to use it one time whenever I noticed I was lacking control of the unit. Otherwise, this unit itself controls temperature perfectly fine without this damper. But if you live somewhere that's very windy, that's the only time I've noticed this is kind of necessary item to have. It's just not something we're going to use very often. So one of the major upgrades I did on the inside, is basically impossible to show on camera, was this firebox mod. It's a thick piece of stainless steel that goes on the inside of this chamber right here, where basically all the magic happens. Your hot coals burn, the hot gases, smoke, everything else goes into the grill itself. So long story short, a lot of people consider that a necessary upgrade because you go from that stamped metal, thin metal interior wall that's known to corrode and rust relatively quickly to a nice thick stainless steel insert. I have a picture I can show right here on what it looks like on the inside. And basically that just beefs up the burn chamber, extends the life of the unit. So since we're down here in this area, one thing I want to talk about, one of Luke's mods, was this screen right here. This is all stainless, but you can see mine is heavily used already. And what this does, it goes inside of your ash bucket and allows you to put chunks of wood on top of this. So what that does, if you're not familiar with this grill, this chamber and hopper up here is where you put wood chunks in and charcoal itself. For example, you can see I have some applewood chunks in there right now. So what essentially happens is you get charcoal flavor, and you do get occasional smoke on this smoker because you've got a mixture of wood and charcoal in there. But by going ahead and putting some of these big chunks right down here on top of that grate itself, it elevates them up. The fire's happening right here. That's where the fan's blowing across the bottom of the coals. And this grate lifts your wood chunks right up there. So what you can do is add additional wood chunks, get smoke much quicker, and get a consistent smoke throughout your cook. Now, one thing I'll say, I was very excited about that upgrade. It's a very affordable one, and it does work. So elevating the wood chunks up, I'm gonna go to a couple clips right here. What you're gonna see is I put them right in. I come back and checked. maybe 5 to 10 minutes later, I'm already getting ignition on some of the wood itself. That is far quicker than I ever seen just by dropping the chunks way down in the ash pan itself, the factory ash pan. And then I'm gonna go to another clip right here. You'll see I came back, I forget, and this was maybe, it wasn't long into the cook at all. I can't really remember how long, but I was happy to see I was already starting to get good ignition on the top. And then ultimately a little bit later in the cook, as you're gonna see right here, full ignition, full burn through, and then you can go throw chunks right back on top of those coals that's sitting on top of the grate. If you're like me and you love a ton of smoke flavor, that is a must-have upgrade right there, and it's one of the more affordable upgrades as well. A quick little tip that Luke told me, and I do feel like it does work, I typically smoke at, say, 225, for example. So the fan kicks on, it runs the coals, it heats them up, you get to 225 really quickly, the fan cuts off. Sometimes that's not long enough for that fan to be blowing across those blazing hot coals and actually ignite the wood. So what he's always suggested is, for the initial start up of your smoker or grill right here, put your wood chunks in. Say if I'm gonna smoke at 225, I'll go ahead and run it on up to 275, 300, so you get longer time of that fan running through there, you get hotter coals, and normally you'll go ahead and get those chunks of wood ignited, and then they'll just do a slow burn through the rest of the cook. Then when I come out here to put my meat on the grill, I'll just bump it back down to 225, for example. So you're kind of doing an initial preheat, warm up, ignition of your wood, turn it down to 225, and you're ready to cook. That little tip seems to be working. Since we're down here on this area, I don't use this often, but his little pan idea right here, what you do is you take your ash bucket out, you put this little dump gate in here, it folds on in the inside, and now I can pull out this tray right here, dump all my coals into a 5-gallon bucket, and I can turn over my hopper with a different type of wood or different type of charcoal. This is not a piece that I use often, but something I feel I absolutely want to continue to have. I think this is a worthwhile upgrade as well. All right, so very difficult to see in here. I'm gonna bump the brightness up as much as I can. This is actually a stainless rack, but you can see how much I have used this grill, how coated it is. It looks like just regular coated steel, like this factory rack, but I have used this a ton. So my original kit came with 2 of these stainless racks, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I find myself preferring this setup right here. One factory rack up top, as you can see it's stair step down, one of Luke's big racks on the bottom, or middle I should say, and then your factory cast iron racks on the bottom. The stair step design works really well for me. I get a lot of extra cooking surface with this single rack right here, and I personally don't find the need for 2 racks. And luckily Luke offers a package where you can buy 2 of the stainless racks. You get a small discount, I think, if I remember correctly, or you can buy a single one. If you're cooking for small crowds or it's just 2 people like me and Tiffany, I recommend a single rack. Save the money, don't get 2. But if you're gonna be cooking, like say a bunch of rib racks, a bunch of wings, you're gonna see I'm gonna shoot to a clip right here. We like to do whole fryer wings because we get a killer deal on them. We buy them in bulk, 40 pounds at a time. If I was gonna be entertaining for a huge crowd, that's when I'm gonna run double the racks. I can put a ton of wings on both of those racks, or again, multiple racks of ribs. Believe it or not, we've also been doing French bread pizzas and other things on here. I'm about to have an awesome recipe come out for that once we do the next cook. And I love that this big middle rack that Luke offers right here allows me to put a big pizza stone on. That's something I never even realized I could use this grill for, but because it runs up to 700 degrees, quickly cooked pizzas are awesome on it. By the way, this little device right here that Luke also sells is a rack grate pickup tool. I'll say it does feel a little on the flimsy side. However, I have not bent this in the least, and this is a absolute must-have accessory. Why a factory did not give you an option to come in here and pick your grates up is beyond me. So this is probably one of my favorite upgrades and tools that he offers right here. This is a must-have. So if I take these bottom grates out, probably one of my favorite things that he offers, take this old nasty drip pan out from a cook that I did last night. As you can see, it is so very hard to see in here. This is a stainless drip pan right here, but it's covered. I have done quite a few cooks with a drip pan in here and without. And the beautiful thing is I have not had one single flare up, one grease fire, nothing since I've added this drip pan that he's got here that has catch lips on either side and it's supposed to run the grease off to the other side there. But as you can see, it also has these elevated feet that allow you to put one big drip pan like this on or two small pans. So that in my mind would be the absolute other half upgrade right there. One, you gotta have the little lift out grate tool. Who wants to keep grabbing these old greasy, nasty racks? Two, these grills are notorious for having flare ups. I can't tell you how many grease fires I had in this before I added this drip tray and pan holder, everything else. I forget what the exact name of it is. That's a must-have accessory. I also forgot to mention there is a water pan in there as well off to the side. You can see that in my original video. That may be another one of those add-ons that I personally can't really tell a difference with and would probably save my money if I bought some of these accessories in the future. But if you're the type of person that you believe in adding water or apple juice or something in there as you do a cook, well, they do offer that. All right, so let's wrap this video up. After doing tons of cooks on this, countless numbers of hours of cooks, some of the must-have upgrades for me, without a doubt, the grate holder, the drip pan to keep with all the, it just helps with cleanup, helps with all the flare-ups. I do really like the elevated grate down there because I love the extra smoky flavor. If you're into that, elevated grate does seem to really enhance the smoke flavor and get chunks ignited quicker. You may or may not be interested in the little slide that dumps the charcoal out into a bucket. I personally do like that because I have turned my charcoal over at different times. Some people want different charcoals, different woods for different cooks. If you're just going to always run the same type of charcoal in here and not be concerned about wood, that may be an upgrade that you want to omit. The damper, I suggest it if you're in a windy area. If not, I don't think it's a needed accessory. As far as the firebox mod goes, verdict's out there. I can't see where it hurts anything, and it is going to extend the life of my grill. I think it's something I'd probably sleep better at night knowing that I have it, being that there's talk and pictures out there on the internet of these fireboxes kind of burning out prematurely. Although Masterbuilt claims that's a sacrificial wall on the inside, and the firebox material on the inside, the actual insulation material, is what's truly supposed to be there for the long term. As far as the lid up top goes, honestly, I kind of thought that was going to be a little gimmicky. It's there for protection, for the creosote, protect your lid, so I don't know how well it works. What I can tell you is it seals up my top so good. Now I'm actually glad that I have that. A leaky smoker, not a good smoker. All right, so there you go. A lot of people have asked about these mods. They're well made, all stainless, bought from a guy right here in America. Some I can see absolutely necessary, some maybe not so much. Drop me a comment, let me know what you think your favorite mod would be and some that you may or may not have already tried. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. All right, we'll catch you on the next video. I have some more cooking videos coming out here before long. Thanks for watching.